This week is one of the biggest weeks in video games because this week, coming on Friday, we have Summer Games Fest, which every single year is essentially the trailer fest. It announces the games that are coming this year and the games that are coming in the following years. And I think this week is going to be bigger than any of them because with the delay of GTA 6, it means that there is a wide open 2025 for developers to release their games, put their games out into the world, and have that sweet, sweet Game of the Year title. This is essentially the biggest set of announcements until the Game of the Year show in December. So this week is going to be absolutely massive. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you are following the channel, have notifications on, because we are going to be bringing you all of the hardest hitting gaming news. Like this, for example. This week, we got the release of Splitgate 2. Now with it, there was server problems and everything like that, but the developers came forward and actually announced that they're fixing the game and got the servers back online and even gave players 1,500 battle pass points as a kind of reward for making it through those server delays. On top of that, really great CEO communication, but more importantly than anything else, they added this into the game. So yes, you can fart in Splitgate. You did not hear me wrong. Basically, there is a 1 in 100 chance that you crouch in the game and you actually fart. So gone are the days of teabagging people in game. Now it's all about the beef stew. And that is why we created this show for the hardest hitting news for video games on the internet. Welcome to the Weekly Reload. This is the Weekly Reload, the weekly gaming news show where you get filled in on everything video games, and we do tend to focus a little bit more on first-person shooters. And the one that I was going to talk about in a lot more depth this week, but I just can't muster it up, is this week we got Season 4 for Warzone and Black Ops 6, and needless to say, we got our normal typical update, the new battle pass, the new multiplayer maps, the new Warzone update, POI, things along those lines. But what we also get with every single Call of Duty update is server crashes, bugs, issues, games not loading properly, extra skill-based matchmaking, more and more microtransactions, and it seems like more than ever, the community has had enough.
I just spent fucking $300 on the game yesterday to buy their battle pass and skins and Black Cell.
He's got scammed, brother.
Bro, they said, oh, we're investigating the issues, bro. Why don't we investigate it before the update drops, huh?
But speaking of weird things with Call of Duty, the other thing that happened this week is specifically with PlayStation is the Days of Play event. Now, essentially what this was a bunch of sales on hardware like PlayStation 5s and games on the PlayStation console to give you a discount for your kind of summer games. Now, one of the things that was announced with this was price decreases for all of the consoles, which is pretty cool, especially when as of lately, the price of PlayStation around the world and the price of PlayStation Plus around the world has raised. Now, that was clearly to kind of counteract any of the tariffs that the US was doing, but now they have lowered the price for this event, and they even announced that they are bundling together Black Ops 6 with PlayStation 5 for a bundle, which is really, really weird, because that's normally something that comes out with the launch of a Call of Duty game, not when it's almost at the end of that Call of Duty game's life cycle, and when everyone's mad at the game. It's a super weird time to do so. And speaking of super weird times to do things, one thing that we've talked about over the past weeks of the Weekly Reload is the Xbox console Handheld. And this was something that was set to be coming out next year in 2026, but there was a report that came out this week that is actually getting delayed, that they are indeed going to be focusing a little bit harder on perfecting the console, and they plan on now launching it in 2027, which is interesting because that's also when they plan on launching the new console as a whole, like just like the new Xbox. And it seems like the Handheld is going to be coming out in the same year. Now, speaking of delays, EA is behind another set of delays of the Black Panther game. Reportedly, over 3 300 people were laid off from EA, specifically from canceling the new Black Panther game, which was a studio by the name of Cliffhanger Games, and the director was working there, previously worked on the Shadow of Mordor games. Now, people are speculating why the Black Panther game got delayed. Some speculate that it was because of increased licensing fees from Disney and Marvel. Others speculating that the game wasn't actually far enough along in development and EA was getting frustrated with the worry of having a repeat of a game like Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a good game but didn't sell well, or games that were like the live service style games like Suicide Squad or the Marvel's Avengers game, which, yeah, they didn't really do well, and after just years of being out, were completely canceled and support was halted. So with the fear of a game happening like that, they pulled the plug on this one. But the weird thing is there's still some more Marvel games around the corner. For example, Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra features Black Panther alongside Captain America. So maybe they were afraid of competing with that game a little bit too much, but that game is still set to release. As well as when this announcement came out, there was an email put out by EA discussing the games that they are actually focused on working on and releasing in the next little while. And they included the new Battlefield game, Sims, Skate, Apex Legends, a new EA Motive game for Iron Man, Respawn's next Star Wars game, and finally, BioWare is working on a new Mass Effect. Now, the one game that there was no mention of is a little game called Star Wars Battlefront 3. Now, you may be wondering why I'm bringing that up. Well, if you didn't know, Star Wars Battlefront 2 was last released in 2017. But just this week, it had a boom, and the largest boom in its popularity from well before it was released. This is the biggest this game has ever been, and it is years and years after the release of the game. Now, you may be wondering how exactly this happened. Well, it was kind of like this perfect storm of things that happened. Number one, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you happened, as well as a series by the name of Andor. Now, if you haven't heard this series, it's gotta be the most critically acclaimed Star Wars anything that has ever existed. So the second season of that came out and people absolutely love it. So now people are hankering for Star Wars material. And then Fortnite comes along with AI Darth Vader. Now, the clips, let's just say, went wild for this one.
A Diddy party? Are you suggesting I have a foot fetish? Hawk tour, skibbity riz, fucking skibidi toilets. No balls, you are adopted. Big dildo, Gaiat. One's effectiveness in battle is determined by their skill and discipline, not the size of their Gaiat. Your aim is as pathetic as your obsession with Gaiats.
But then after that, again, the hype was just building. So a couple creators went back and played Star Wars Battlefront 2. And as people started to see that game, they realized how far ahead of its time it actually was. And if it wasn't for the ridiculous microtransactions back in the day in this game could have been huge. So now all anyone is asking for from EA is a little bit more Battlefront, specifically asking for Star Wars Battlefront 3. Are we going to get it anytime soon? Almost most certainly not. But the one thing is clear, everyone, and I mean everyone, wants it. Like literally right now, a game from 2017 is one of the biggest games of all time, which something like this is almost never to be seen. Now, as far as a game that came out this week, we have Elden Ring Nightreign. Now, this one got an 80 on OpenCritic, which basically, if you have a decent game, it's going to get an 80 on OpenCritic. And that is what we are seeing out of this game. It is a decent game. They have essentially made a co-op Elden Ring game. But the problem with this one is, and the thing that I keep seeing in reviews, is there really isn't a good solo experience in this game, which is interesting because in a game like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, traditionally in those FromSoft games, that's what people do. They play it alone, and if they really need help, they'll bring someone else in to help. So it's kind of different from what your traditional From Software game does, but even with that and having a different gameplay style loop, the game is still getting good reviews. So if you're an Elden Ring fan, you like that style of gameplay, you definitely want to check this out, especially if you have some friends that want to play that type of game with you. The other thing that got announced from Elden Ring is they are doing a movie. Now, the interesting part to this one for me is who's behind that movie, because they announced that the producer for this movie is George R.R. Martin. Now, if you don't know who that is the writer behind the Game of Thrones books. And you may also know, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, those books are still not finished. And at this point, I'm pretty sure George R.R. Martin just wants an excuse to not write those books anymore. I'm at this point, I think they're not coming out. The other game that came out this week is F1 25. This one also has good reviews, sitting at a 79 on OpenCritic. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never played an F1 game. I'm not someone who's into F1 racing, but what I can tell you is there is cars in this game. They do go fast, and you do get to drive them. 100% guaranteed. That is this week's The Weekly Reload exclusive. If you didn't know it before, you absolutely know it now. The other thing coming this week, actually before Summer Game Fest, is on June the 5th, and that is the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, there's a couple of things to come out of Nintendo Switch 2. Number one, some people have already got their hands on the console, and apparently they cannot use said console until they download the day one patch, which means, say for example, you are away on a camping trip, you are not connected to the internet, you're away for your birthday, and your mom gives you your Nintendo Switch 2. Well, as it turns out, you cannot play that until you're connected to the internet, even if you have a cartridge to put in the Switch, because you need to download an update in order to play it. It is become inevitable at this point that I think every single game, and now every single console, is going to have the always online compatibility issue that so many people have complained about in the past. And this is just another example of that. Now, also on June 5th, the other thing that we are getting is the new Mario Kart game, Mario Kart World. Now, I'm excited for this one. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on a pre-order, but hopefully I'm able to sneakily get one in one way or another and check out that game. But everything is looking good there. But the one worry, of course, is the raising of the prices of the games for Switch 2 to $80. And only time will tell how many games get raised to that, if they do. And on top of that, it seems as though like the $50 games are the ones that are still selling gangbusters. And then finally, later this week, the big thing that we have is Summer Games Fest. And of course, with Summer Game Fest, we don't know any of the announcements that are going to take place, but that is not going to stop me from trying, because in this week's Tinfoil Hat segment, I'm going to try to guess the one thing that we will get in Summer Games Fest. And I truly believe that that is a shadow drop for the game that everyone is waiting for this summer of Arc Raiders. Now, if you didn't know already, Arc Raiders, we got a recent play test for this game and everyone loved it. It absolutely went gangbusters. But as the game shut down and the play test concluded, there was an update that was put out. And in the metadata for that update, people actually found a link to a website which led to a countdown of June the 6th. What is on June the 6th? Summer Game Fest. The other thing that we know about Embark is they love shadow drops. They're the people behind the finals. They're the people behind Arc Raiders. They love just coming out and saying, hey, this is what we've been cooking, and it is out right now. So people are speculating that on the 6th, during Summer Games Fest, there's going to be a new trailer for Arc Raiders, an announcement of what the final game is going to look like, and boom, it'll be shadow dropped next weekend. So June 6th is opening night live, after of which we have the PC gaming show, and then on Sunday there is the Xbox State of Play. Now during this last year, we got the reveal for Black Ops 6. Now, as of right now, there is no news, there's no leaks, there's no anything about the next Call of Duty game. Some people are guessing that we will be getting an update as to maybe just the name reveal for that next Call of Duty game, but I very highly doubt it. And the reason for that is with the launch of Season 4 this week, we found out via the in-game Game Pass countdown that this season is 70 days long. With that, that leads us to August 5th, which when we got this like repeat Call of Duty game like we had with Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, that is about the time that we get the reveal for those type of Call of Duty games. So the guess is that the reveal for Black Ops 7 will be coming more so with the launch of Season 5 on August the 5th. Now, this weekend, during the Xbox State of Play, the things that we are getting there is a specific direct for the Outer Worlds 2. We're going to probably be getting some announcements on what is going to be coming to Game Pass throughout the rest of the year. Some more looks at things like the Gears of War Reloaded. And my hope, personally, this isn't a tinfoil hat theory because I don't actually have a theory behind it, but what I would like to see is a little bit more information on if older Call of Duties are going to be coming to Game Pass, or if maybe they've been cooking up some sort of remastered Call of Duty collection game, something like that. But maybe I'm just getting too hopeful.
Hopeful? Did you see this?
Yeah, I know that the update was bad.
So bad, dude.
Yeah, everyone
Everyone
hates.
Yeah,
everyone always hates Call of. Everyone always hates Call of Duty. But do you know what people don't hate? They don't hate subscribing. They don't hate turning notifications on, because if you want to stay up to date on everything gaming and all of the gaming news across the industry, the weekly reload is the best way to do that every single Sunday. So hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. This week is going to be massive for video game news, and we're going to be covering it all. So Slick, it's going to be a real busy editing week with the weekly reload and all of the gaming news coming this week. I hope you're ready.
Yeah, that's what you get for teabagging my teammate, a little